Hello and welcome to the Blue Monday podcast covering all things Ipswich Town since 2015. My name is Mikey Smith, and joining me for this live show reacting to Ipswich's frustrating 0-0 draw with Cheltenham is Seb Brown. Disappointing one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Frustrating is the correct term that you've used. I thought we were really, really good. I know we'll come on to the game, but I thought really, really good first half. And then as the second half went on, it kind of petered away from us a little bit, didn't it? So given how a couple of the results went tonight, I guess that is a frustrating one and very much a case of 2 points dropped.
Yeah, 2 points dropped indeed, especially as the other results.
Yeah, frustrating, isn't it?
The way that they went.
At one point, Oxford were dropping points as well, and it would have been a lovely night. We could have been 2 points off the playoffs, but such is life. These things happen. If we go to Morecambe on Saturday and put in a decent performance and get 3 points, it's still a decent 3-game week, isn't it?
Indeed, it was. And yeah, as this is a live reaction show, please do get your questions in, as Charlie D did there. He says, "How utterly frustrating! I'm baffled as to how we didn't score. Surely we bring a new striker in the summer." Yeah, it was the missed chances in the first half, wasn't it, Seb? Like, no golden opportunities. And actually, in the second half, it was probably Cheltenham that had the best chance, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. I mean, the first stuff, the very early on for Burns was the one, wasn't it? If that goes in, it's a completely different game. I guess he's just leaning back and he blazes it over, which is unfortunate because the one person you probably want running onto that in that position in the form that he's in would be him, but he leans back. Chaplin had the header, didn't he? The diving header, which was a good save by the keeper, and Selina sort of put one narrowly over. So yeah, the chances were there, but yeah, in the second half, they certainly had the better of them.
Indeed. Yeah, Chris Randas here. Any idea why we're looking why we're lacking confidence in front of goal? Do you think maybe it is the rotation at the top end of the pitch?
Maybe, and I guess, Jackson was so good, wasn't he, on the weekend, and he had Pigott alongside him as maybe sort of a bit of the focal point, and he was able to run the channels a bit more, and Pigott was creating space for him. I think tonight, when you've got Jackson as that focal top option, and you've got Selina and Chaplin in behind him, very, very good technical players, but he's kind of leading the line on his own, and we've kind of seen that's not really his game, is it? He needs that bit of support, and I was quite surprised when Bond came on for him. I kind of thought they'd take off one of Selina or Chaplin, and Jackson might go slightly out to the wing and start running the channels and put somebody through the middle. But for whatever reason, I guess Bond's obviously out of form. Pigott struggling. I guess Jackson was probably knackered when he got to the hour mark because he's not really played much recently, has he? And obviously, for whatever reason, Nord was not on the bench. So it is what it is. It's a frustrating night. It's definitely 2 points dropped, but we've got some decent momentum, and it's important we keep that going at the weekend now.
Absolutely. Just taking a look at that Ipswich team. No massive surprises, was there? Although obviously Lee Evans was missing after the knock that he took on Saturday. Tom Carroll came in. Selina and Chaplin, I think a lot of us were expecting them to come back in. That formation's all wrong, isn't it? Because it was very much Selina and Chaplin playing in behind Jackson, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I was a bit surprised it wasn't Backington to start because Carroll's not made the bench, I don't think, in the last couple of games. I thought no. Backington might come in and do the deeper lying role to allow Morsey sort of, room to get forwards and stuff. But Carroll came in. I thought he was okay first half, but he was a bit weak in the second half, and he seemed to struggle a bit as the pace of the game went on. And I think we were expecting, Jackson obviously was going to keep his place, and Selina and Chaplin come back in, and you've got two excellent technical players, which was kind of showing in our first half performance, wasn't it? Because we were keeping the ball really nicely, pinging it around really, really nicely, and yeah, unfortunately, we couldn't get the opening goal.
Indeed, and just a quick look at the Cheltenham team. It's very much a 5 at the back, wasn't it? 5-3-2. They drew 5-5 on Saturday, so when that happens, you expect the team to come out and be ultra defensive, and they didn't take many risks going forward, did they, in the first half? But they did allow us plenty of opportunities as well. It was a strange one.
It wasn't. They seemed to be happy just to sit back and let us have the ball and ping it around. I've not seen any heat maps, but Christ, the heat map for the first half must be pretty much us. Certainly, the first half an hour of the game must be us totally in their half. You know, we were knocking it around really nicely, and they were just happy to sit back, weren't they? They couldn't really get out. Our press was really superb in that first half. We were pressing high, weren't we? Winning the ball back, winning the second balls, and they seemed happy to let us sort of crack on and get on with it, which is strange.
Yeah, it was strange. And yeah, just going to talk through some of those chances that happened in the first half. Jump in if you think I've missed any, Seb. But the 5th minute was what turned out to be the best opportunity for Ipswich of the game, with Burns, after an excellent run from Selina, clips it to the back post, and Burns fires over from close range. Not an easy chance, but a very good chance all the same. Good counter-attack in the 12th minute. Lovely play from Thompson and Selina, who then skips past a couple of players before firing over. We really controlled the first 25 minutes. Chaplin had a good low header saved. It was just sort of wave after wave of attack at this point.
Wasn't it? You kind of thought the goal is naturally going to come here because we were so dominant, playing so well, and the chances were decent quality. You know, the Chaplin diving header was a decent quality chance, but it was a really good save by the keeper, wasn't it?
It was, and yeah, Michael Warner's right. None of our strikers could stay cold when they had the chance tonight. And there was a few as well, just a few crosses that just didn't quite find the mark. There was a good one from, well, maybe not a good one, but a dangerous one from Jackson that he flashed across the box, which I think it was Chaplin sort of threw himself towards.
Yeah. You just wanted something a couple of inches taller, and somebody's going to get on the end of that. That was the first time Jackson did it really in the game, wasn't it? He got to sort of a wide position and put one of those dangerous balls across. We'll come on to it. He did one in the second half as well, where he plays it right along almost in line with the penalty spot, isn't it? But unfortunately, when he's the focal point, nobody else is really in there to get on the end of it, unfortunately.
And just talking about other results, Sunderland are still playing, Seb, and they are losing. Thanks very much, Neil Johnson. Thanks everyone for getting those in. You'll have to keep us updated on that one, Neil, as we go. I don't know if it makes it. Yeah, it does make it more frustrating, doesn't it? But it's also keeps us in it, doesn't it?
And it doesn't. These teams are all going to start playing each other pretty soon, aren't they? I was bored in work today, so I was looking at the run-ins for all of the the ones that are going for sort of 4th downwards, and everyone is playing each other. It seems in April, so there's going to be lots of opportunities for drop points. So it'll be like this one. It will get a game week where we're high as a kite and we're 2 points off it, and then we might get a frustrating night like tonight where we're further away, and it's just how it's going to be for the next 6 weeks or so.
Indeed, James Ruddock was at the game. He's already tuned in. Hello, James, in the car park. Should have killed the game off in the first half, but the positive is another clean sheet. And yeah, haven't really mentioned that, Seb. Wasn't maybe as assured at the back as it was on Saturday. But Cheltenham, we'll get to that, but they very nearly nicked it. But how important is that? And how many hours is it now since we last conceded a goal?
Yeah, it must be the Sheffield Wednesday away game was the last time we conceded, wasn't it? So that must be coming.
Decent run.
I can't think top of my head how many minutes or how many games it is, but yeah, it's a really, really superb run. Don't they say defenses win your titles and stuff? So building from the back is always a good thing. But we know what the back line is going to be these days. It's so consistent, and they're all playing well, aren't they? I know tonight, like you said, was a little bit more chaotic than normal, but all in all, they've played really well at the back.
Absolutely, and just getting on to the end of the first half, Wolfenden had a header over from a Chaplin corner. We had a lot of corners tonight, didn't we? And didn't really get quality balls into the box enough, did we? That was a good one from Chaplin, but they were too few and far between.
It was nice technique, wasn't it, from Wolfenden? Sort of the running and the over the shoulder kind of header. I thought he was unlucky with that one.
And I'll carry on with the chances in the second half. There wasn't many really, was there? There was Selina with a free kick which evaded Edmondson on 65.
That was great delivery, that one, wasn't it? That was really good delivery, pinged in. I thought Chapman was going to take it, and he did the dummy, didn't he? And then Selina really puts it into that, what's the term? The corridor of uncertainty. He really whips it in, and Edmondson must be inches away from getting a foot on that.
Yeah, and we saw the return of Kane Vincent-Young tonight, didn't we, Seb? That was an interesting one, a little bit out of the blue.
It was, yeah. I was surprised when this is a double change coming on. I kind of assumed he might be either Backinson to replace Carroll and one of either Piggott or Bond to go up top. But yeah, when I thought Thompson did all right first half. I didn't think. I guess Vincent Young probably offers you a bit more going forward, and he showed that with that one where he sort of beat his man in the second half and put a left-footed cross in. But I didn't think Thompson was doing badly. But good to see Vincent Young come in.
Absolutely. Bond came on at that stage as well. Didn't really make much of an impact. What did he make of the final substitution there, Seb? Because it's a little bit un-McKenna-like, wasn't it? That we just sort of threw another striker on because we brought off Carroll at that stage. He was struggling, but rather than bringing on Aluko, he goes for Piggott, and this is, we are the experts after the event now because we've seen what happened. Piggott really struggles to get involved, and then when the chance came his way, he sort of stumbled, didn't he?
Yeah, unfortunately. So, I guess it's just that the bench were probably as frustrated as we were, and they thought there's a chance to potentially go and win this. So you naturally throw a striker on. It kind of disrupted things, didn't it? I thought when the changes came on was when we noticeably started to drop off a little bit. I guess when Piggott came on, was it Chaplin sort of went deeper, Morsey then sat just as the midfield sitter to protect the back three, and things didn't really click, did they? Piggott had a couple of touches, but I guess you'll come on to the one where he sort of gets in the way of Selena running onto a pullback across the box from Burns, and it just didn't really work, the substitutions, to be honest.
No, do you think Aluko could have made a difference?
Yeah, I really like Aluko. I think
pick the lock.
Yeah, I think he's superb. Some of the through balls and the weight of his passing is absolutely superb. I guess if you're going to take off a central midfielder, he'd be the logical one to put into that central midfield spot. You could have Morsey doing your deeper protection work and have Aluko pulling those strings. But for whatever reason, he wanted to throw a striker on. Piggott did all right, didn't he, on Saturday with his link-up play? I guess he was unlucky to hit the post. So I guess in McKenna's thinking, he's probably thinking he can hold the ball up for us a little bit here, and we can look to get runners in off and around him. But it just didn't work, did it?
Yeah, he just seems to be one of those players, Piggott, that he just struggles when he comes off the bench. I don't know whether it's a confidence thing, but he does seem to look a little bit more assured when he starts.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, a couple of times tonight, a couple of the touches didn't work and stuff. Whereas on Saturday, he was taking a touch, dropping deep, and linking it well. So that's a really good shout. But also, he's barely played, has he? I know he started on Saturday, but he's going to be nowhere near match fitness. And the more he plays, it's just starting to look like one of those transfers that looks like it's not really going to work out, which is frustrating because his record is so good and he's got all the attributes. But the more you sort of see it, you start to think to yourself, is this really going to work?
Yeah, absolutely. Chris Horn says Piggott out, Simpson in.
Yeah,
the lad who's scoring and confident, not snatching chances.
If you're after a robust physical option to bring off the bench with 10 minutes to go, then yeah, I guess you could argue that Simpson is the one to do it. We know he's got a contract situation that needs to be resolved with the club, so I'm guessing until that's done, he's not going to be anywhere near the first team, is he? But he's played so well for the first half of the season at Swindon. And yeah, like I say, if you're looking to throw on a battering ram, so to speak, with a few minutes to go, Simpson's pretty more suited to that than Piggott is.
Yeah, I think it tells its own story, though, that Norwood was missing tonight and Simpson still didn't make the squad. I know he did play for the under-23s yesterday, which perhaps meant that he couldn't be on the bench today. I'm not sure, but yeah, also, you're probably right. Probably is to do with the contract situation.
And also, what would that do to somebody like Piggott's confidence? If Piggott were to be left off the bench or Bond's left off the bench, and is he 20, 21 years old, Tyree Simpson, that kind of players on the bench ahead of them is going to destroy their confidence as well, isn't it? So, a bit of a balancing act, I think, for McKenna there as well, with his his man management side of it as well.
Mm-hmm. We will highlight the plus points as well, because it was a decent performance, wasn't it? We've had some pretty shocking 0-0s over the last few years, but that one wasn't.
The amount of times last year after a live show we'd sit on here and think, how are we going to talk for 40 minutes about what we've just seen on the pitch? At least, like you say, yeah, it was a decent performance. We played well, efforts on goal, etc. It's frustrating, but it's chalk and cheese compared to the last 2 years, let's be honest. And Morsey was superb, wasn't he? He's got to be. He can't be far away from a goal for a sure. He had that one in the first half, didn't he? Where it looked like he got a slight nudge in the back. I think he exaggerated the fall, which is, he's never going to get that given. But he's making a nice habit of those runs where he's ending up round about the penalty spot or the penalty area, isn't it? It can't be long now before he gets a goal for us.
No, he doesn't have the best shooting technique, but yeah, you get yourself the chances. then yeah, he's surely going to get a goal at some point, and then maybe 2 or 3 will come. Rob saw it as we did, perhaps too good in the first half, and thought it would be easy in the second to get it. Yeah, I don't know. I once we went in at 0-0 at half time, I did wonder. I did think that the second half was going to be a battle, but I did message Ipswich of this parish to say it's going to be a 1-0 win. It's going to end 1-0. Alas, it wasn't to be. But Rich has tuned in anyway and asked, "Did we miss Evans? Subs made no impact for me."
Potentially, yeah. I mean, Carroll's a classy player. I think, was it you that put it in the WhatsApp group saying he's so one-footed? He is, isn't he? He can't do anything if it's not on his left foot. It was okay first half. You know, he looks like a great player. He looks like he can ping a pass, but I just don't think you get the sort of the time on the ball at this level like he might need if he was further up the footballing pyramid. And yeah, I guess we did miss Evans because, you know, Evans has got a decent range of passing. He likes that big switch, Evans, doesn't he? He likes to ping the balls out wide to get the likes of Burns involved in the game, and that's not really sort of what Carroll was doing tonight. And as the game went on, I think Carroll sort of either he tired or, you know, he couldn't cope when Cheltenham stepped up a little bit.
No, I'd have just talked through the last 20 minutes or so of the game. We were pretty ragged, weren't we, at times in the last 20 minutes? And Cheltenham looked just as likely as we did of finding a winner. Walton made a save from a cross shot on 75. Bon clears one off the line before volleying over himself at the other end. Possibly a suspicion of handball, because Bon was sort of very much like looking around like this.
I didn't notice that. The one where he cleared it off. I didn't notice that. Okay,
yeah,
fair enough.
Possibly, I might be wrong. That was when Pigott came on for Carroll. Chaplin fired over from a Vincent Young cross after a nice little step over, showing that he can do it on the left side as well as the right. And then Burns' miss-hit cross falls into the path of Pigott / Selina.
He must have been. I'm guessing Selina just didn't yell loud enough, or, you know, Pigott can't hear him over the roar of the North Stand or whatever. But the Cheltenham defender is down, so if Pigott does just dummy that and run over it, then Selina's simply running onto it. You know, the player's down on the pitch. Surely, with his ability, he's just going to side foot that into the bottom left corner of the goal, isn't he? But unfortunately for Pigott, yeah, he tries to take a touch. Then he obviously takes the touch, which is bad enough because he's messed up the chance for Selina running in, and then he loses it straight away again, doesn't he? So not a great passenger play, and frustrating because that was the moment when you thought, right, we finally got it. Burns in behind, we've pinged the ball along the area. Here we go, and then unfortunately, that kind of summed up the performance, didn't it?
Yeah, it did very much so. Very frustrating, and actually, it was Cheltenham that nearly scored in injury time. Golden chance. Ball to the back post, and Andy Williams fired over from 6 yards. Was your heart in your mouth at that stage, Seb?
It was, yeah. I saw the ball come in and I thought, well, Vincent Young sort of let his guy go a little bit here. He's quite close into the goal, and thankfully he blazed over, and obviously he then hurt himself, and all the play acting was coming out the woodwork, wasn't it? And then Morsey gets involved and it all kicks off a little bit. I thought there S-housery started quite early on, didn't it? All the time wasting and stuff, and you know, it just gets frustrating because it takes the sting out of the game. And I was quite impressed. I thought the ref was decent, and I was glad when he ended up playing to nearly sort of 8 minutes. You know, I thought when he gets to 6 minutes, the ref's going to blow up, and you know, that's what you expect of these sort of League One level refs. But I thought the ref was decent, and I'm glad he held them to account and he played the full amount of added time. But every time they went down, it was hurting us, wasn't it? Because we could never get that rhythm going again afterwards.
Indeed, and it's good to get this sort of insight from people that were at the game. Rob says Morsey gave Cheltenham coaching staff 2 barrels at full time regarding the time wasting. Good lad, but it's a little bit pot calling the kettle black, isn't it, with Morsey complaining about S-housery?
Yeah, very, very much so. He got involved with the one at the end, didn't he? And I was thinking, I'm sure I've seen you do this several times throughout the season, so you can't really go and have a go at somebody else who's doing the same thing.
Yeah, Badger says... Mr. Knight Badger says Cheltenham's players hated every second of that. I'm not sure about that. They'll be delighted with their point. That's definitely right.
Yeah, first half they probably hated it. They were penned in, weren't they? We were pressing really well, and they probably thought this is going to go badly. But as the game went on, you know, I thought it was quite even for the last half an hour or so.
Michael Warner agrees with Rich. Evans was missed tonight. Carroll played well in the first half, but his game does not open the game up so well.
It's that big switch you miss from Evans, isn't it? That big switch out wide to the wing backs that you don't get when somebody else is in the side.
A little bit more love here for Sam Morsey. Yeah, drop this video a like if you like Sam Morsey. Gary Lovell says, our possession and attacking power seems great. It's just getting those elusive goals. Yeah, can't disagree with that.
No. Yeah,
is goal scoring a problem?
Scenario.
Do you think maybe the 3 goals that we scored against Burton, did that cover that up a touch?
Maybe. I mean, if you look at our record, I think I think Joe said on one of the podcasts recently, if you take out the Doncaster and the 2 4-0s away to the likes of Wickham and Portsmouth, our record isn't that amazing, is it?
No.
Top of my head, I couldn't tell you how many goals we've averaged per game. But if you take those big wins out of it, it's fairly average. And I guess we've got a multitude of strikers who we can't really make work at the moment. Hence the constant rotation. He's sort of, Jackson comes in the weekend, does really well, but then tonight it's not really his game leading the line. So, if we do stay down, even if we go up, the summer will be very interesting from a goal scoring point of view because McKenna will look to make change to that front line, I'm sure.
Indeed. And we'll just quickly look at the Sofa Score ratings. Anything stand out there for you? Tom Carroll 7.3, Sam Morsey 6.9.
Yeah, that's very surprising. Is that the ratings for tonight, or is that the ratings across the season? I'm not sure. I think we've been caught out by this one before. I'm not entirely sure
Okay.
they are the ratings for tonight because I'm not sure who's giving Tom Carroll 7.3 to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a frustrating night. Hopefully Evans is back for the weekend and he'll slot back in alongside Morsey, won't he?
Okay, and I'll just get up the stats. These ones will be just from tonight. 66% possession, 17 shots, 4 on target, 11 off target. It's a little bit worrying, and that sort of negates to what we're saying about the poor finishing.
Yeah.
We had 8 corners.
That's frustrating, isn't it? 8 corners.
Yeah,
And
2 big
couldn't remember
chances.
a decent chance from any of them, to be honest. Apart from the Wolfenden header in the first half, but apart from that, I couldn't remember too many decent options from corners.
11 shots inside the box, though. That's a good stat. That suggests that the goals will hopefully come.
Yeah.
On Saturday,
we've got to find some consistency and find a settled. We need the consistency of the back 3 is a stark contrast to the front 3, isn't it? The front 3 changes every single game. The back 3 never ever changes. So he's clearly not found what he wants to work, and I wouldn't be surprised if Pigott, Bon, and Aluko, for example, were to come in on the weekend.
Yeah, and just talking about the weekend, Seb, you're treating yourself to a trip to the seaside, aren't you? Going up to Morecambe.
I am, yeah. I'm spoiled. I get Morecambe this weekend, and I get Fleetwood the following weekend. So I know it's far too north for you to ever consider venturing. Even for me, that's north. So now I'm very lucky to get two back-to-back games. I got Rich coming up. I think it's his first Northern away day since Blackpool in 2020. I think wow. Craig's going up as well, so I'm sure we'll all meet up. And yeah, looking forward to it. And like I say, if we follow up with a decent win at Morecambe, it's still a fine week, isn't it? 7 points from the 3 games is still fine. It keeps us over the 2 points per game average. It just adds that little bit extra pressure now going into that game, I guess.
This seems like a good time to plug the pre-match show. You'll be joined by Ben, I believe.
Yeah, I got Ben in the host chair holding my hand this week. So we're recording it on Thursday night, so that'll be out Friday. Come and join us for all things Morecambe related. Ben will make his ITFC sliding doors debut. We haven't worked out which era we're going to do yet, but yep, he'll make his debut there and probably enjoy that feature because I'd imagine, given this week's result, Rich will be bidding that off in about a week's time. So enjoy that feature maybe for one last time. And yeah, we've got an ITFC women.
There's a women's pre-match on Thursday as well. So yeah, loads of Blue Monday activity this week. Rich will be hosting that, of course. That's ahead of the massive game at home to Southampton in the Women's FA Cup on Sunday, I believe.
Yep, Sunday at the Gold Star. Get yourselves down there.
Yeah, I think I heard that Rich is doing a men and women's double down from
He is,
Morecambe.
yeah. I think he's planning to leave. He's staying at mine, so I think he's planning to head back early doors and get back for the FA Cup game. That's a big game, isn't it? Especially with the Southampton League game looming on the horizon as well. It's a big game.
Yeah, and he'll also get to enjoy a tour of 2 of the best seaside resorts in the country as he does it. And then the flagship show, you'll be on that as well, of course.
Yeah, hat-trick I think this week. Yeah, Rich is hosting. I'm on it, and I presume it's Craig because Craig's going. I assume.
Yeah, it might be Craig. Might be Joe. We'll find out, won't we? But anyway,
we're well represented at this.
Back to this podcast, and yeah, had plenty of comments in. Just quickly jump into this one from James Elmy. Jackson needed a man in the box to cross to. We dominated the first half, but there was no one on the penalty spot. When Bon and Pigott came on, we resorted to crossing from from poor angles. I think, yeah, maybe
Totally
that
agree.
was.
Yeah, totally agree. The one time Jackson gets in behind and pulls the ball across, there was no one running onto it, was there? You know, when he's the focal point, you miss that extra body getting into the box.
Paul Isblue thought Cheltenham were as fit as us and up to frustrate.
And they were, when they, you know, the S-Hounds restarted relatively early, and yeah, it's so frustrating because it does just take the sting out of every move.
Traffic can't have been too bad tonight unless Kirk was walking home. Needed an early goal, yeah. Time wasting from the 20th minute. Yeah, that's the beauty of the early goal that we got against Burton.
Yeah, if the Burns chance goes in after, was it 5 minutes? If the Chaplin header goes in a few minutes later, it's a completely different game, isn't it? Because they would naturally have come out. They wouldn't have started all the messing around, play acting and tactics, and we'd have probably gone to win it at a canter. It's one of those, isn't it? It's a frustrating evening.
One here for you, Seb. I'm not sure if there was a formation change. Was there? There definitely seemed like a change in.
The tempo stepped up, and I think didn't they push the fullbacks on a bit more? Burns seemed to be pushed back a lot more in the second half than he was in the first half.
Yeah, that was probably by design. That probably wasn't a particularly offensive decision. That was to try and get, because Burns was just parked up in the final third, wasn't he? In the first half, he looked like he was playing in his old position. But yeah, perhaps it was the back three, sort of the back five becoming more of the back three.
I think so. Yeah, I think they started to push forward a bit more to try and retain a bit of possession.
Michael Warner in the second half forfeited a lot of the ball, but the movement was not great, so he had to try too many long balls. That's probably right. He overhit a few as well, didn't he?
He did.
Made the ground and then clipped the balls like he was still in his penalty area.
Yeah, frustrating. It just ran out, didn't it? And they could see it out quite comfortably for a goal kick.
And more on the strikers.
Very true.
Oh,
yeah, just
seen that.
Yeah, very true. And the one bomb put over, you know, you want him just to go, like you say, go cold, like Ian Wright. You say go completely cold and hit the target, and he just blazes one over.
Oh, Kirk, well done. Lives on the waterfront. Lucky man. Excellent. It must be nice just being able to walk home. If Sunderland and Wickham, Plymouth lose that and we win, we're in the playoffs on goal difference. It's probably unlikely. There's still a long way to go. There is in that Sunday game. Apparently, there was a medical emergency. Sadly, hopefully everyone's all right up there. Chris mentioned, 50-minute delay. So,
but they are still losing, are they? Okay. I mean, if they keep dropping points the way they're doing. I mean, at one point they said it on the Flagship, the guys, didn't they? At one point they were 13, 14 points ahead of us. I think with a game in hand as well. And you know, over the last 2 months, 6 weeks, we've slowly clawed it back. So we're totally going in the right direction. Other sides are doing their part and dropping points. It's just going to be we've still got a long way to go, haven't we? In reality, we're going to know in March, aren't we? After that double header of Oxford away and Plymouth at home, that's when we're really going to know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and we've got Portsmouth at home as well.
Yes,
in that. Yeah, obviously Portsmouth probably not in the playoff race anymore, but still a tricky tie, that one.
Yeah, definitely. And then I guess we've got Easter weekend. It's Rotherham and Wigan back to back, isn't it? If we assume they're gone and they are going to be the top two, it's important that we put in decent performances and look to certainly beat Wigan at home. And if we can put in a good performance and get a point away at Rotherham, and if that's a follow-up to decent performances at Oxford away and Plymouth away, then, we'll see what will be. And then in theory, with Shrewsbury, Crewe, Charlton in a bit of bad form, hopefully we can sneak in there.
What's your gut feeling telling you at the moment? Do you still think it'll be Plymouth that drops out?
Of all the sides, I think it would be Plymouth because their running is horrendous. I was looking at it today, and I think in April they're playing MK Dons, Sunderland, which might not be as difficult as it once seemed. I think they're playing Rotherham, so I think they've got a really, really tough run in, and I would think naturally. But then if you also look at Sunderland and Wickham, they're almost in free fall, aren't they? They're really, really doing badly. So I think MK Dons and Oxford will get into the playoffs certainly, and I think it's a shootout between the likes of us, Wickham, Sunderland. Mustn't forget Sheffield Wednesday. They've got 2 games in hand on us now because their game didn't go ahead again tonight. It's a shootout for those last couple of spaces, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely looks that way. Guy Haseman, I think this is tongue-in-cheek. How do you guys get from Portman Road to broadcasting live so quickly? Seb and I both live considerable distance away from Portman Road. Wouldn't have got there tonight in time after work. Seb's up in Cheshire, is that right, Chester?
Just over the border in Wales, but yeah, it's a good solid 4.5 hours to Portman Road on a Tuesday night, which just isn't doable. No.
Yeah, I'd have been fighting my way up the the M25 and the A12, trying to find somewhere to park. I'm in Surrey, so a little bit more local, but yeah, would have been a tough one. Michael Warner, do you think the reason we rotate the front three is because McKenna can't find a goal-scoring striker? I think it probably is a little bit of that.
Yeah, he's trying everybody, isn't he? You know, Norwood was the one when he first came in because he scored a couple under McGreal, and then he's dropped out, and Jackson's now come in and done okay, and Piggott every now and again gets a bit of a random start, and you know he's putting a Luco in, and he's trying Selena and Chaplin, and he's just trying to settle on something, isn't he? I guess he's hoping that something will suddenly click one match, and we've sort of got a settled side for the rest of the running.
Indeed. Who did he go with on Saturday?
I'm guessing the horrible northern, cold, miserable away day. You're going to want, I guess, a bit of physicality up front, I think. So I wouldn't be surprised if Piggott were to start. I'd like to see a Luco come in because I just really like him. I think he's a really classy player. I like what he does with the ball. His touch, his awareness, his composure is superb. So I'd like those two. And then I guess you've got to give Jackson another chance with somebody like Piggott or Bon alongside him to run those channels and make the kind of runs he was doing on Saturday. But then, you know, it sounds mental to say that means Chaplin and Selena will drop out. It sounds crazy, doesn't it, when you think of the talent of those two? But for me, I'd like a bit more physicality, I think, against Morecambe.
If you were just carrying on this one, if you were going to start either Selena or Chaplin based on their performance tonight, which one?
Based on tonight, I guess Chaplin had the better chances, but Selena was finding space really well in the first half and sort of dictating how things play. So you could toss a coin between them. I really like Chaplin because his first instinct is always positive, and it's to get a shot off, or you know, that's what he's always looking to do. So I like Chaplin a lot. So I might lean slightly more towards him, given the better numbers across the season so far.
Can you shed any light on this? Have you heard anything, Seb?
No idea whatsoever.
I'm guessing McKenna will be asked about that in the post-match.
Yeah, I guess he'll simply say he was similar with Piggott. Remember Piggott played against, was it Accrington, and then didn't make the bench for the next game. I think McKenna will just come out. I don't think there'll be an issue in terms of fitness that we're unaware of. He might just say he can only have 7 players on the bench, and tonight he decided to go with Bonner, Luco, and Piggott. Yeah, that's true from Matthew. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think we'll find out exactly what McKenna wants, and obviously the fact that Piggott is the only one who's contracted past the summer, isn't he? We've got Jackson's option's been taken. Norwood has an option. Bond's on loan. So if he wants to have a bit of a clear out in the front lines and get his own people in, he can look to do that. But I would agree. I wouldn't be, if you said to me now on the first match of next season, Norwood, Bond, Jackson, and Piggott have all left the club, I wouldn't be that surprised. Would you?
No, probably wouldn't be that surprised. Yeah, at this rate, probably the decision not to sign Bon, or if it was a decision that was made,
it
probably not looking so bad. That was it.
Yeah, it looks better every week. I mean, is it 1 in 18 appearances now, 19 appearances if you include sub games? So yeah, he's gone from being an absolute nailed on at the end of sort of October, November. Yeah, we must sign him, to now that looks pretty decent that we didn't. And I guess we can keep our options open going into the summer. And I guess, you know, the form that he's in, it might potentially make a summer deal much more feasible and much more realistic from a money point of view as well. Because if he'd have kept the rate he was going and was on 15 goals at the start of the January window, you're going to be talking £1 million, £2 million, aren't you? Whereas now you can go back to Charlton. If you want him in the summer, you go back to Charlton and say, okay, he's played a full season, 12 goals, and he's probably more like a £500,000, £600,000 player, isn't he?
Absolutely. I'll just bring this one up from Chris while I quickly try and clip up.
That's interesting. Yeah, if Portsmouth have come back into it, that does make that game we've got against them in it's early March, isn't it? March the 11th or something, is it? That'll make that game really, really crucial, because they dropped off it a little bit, didn't they? And suddenly they're back amongst it now, which I guess you'd expect from, you know, the decent managers and a decent squad. You'd expect them to be in the mix, and they kind of dropped off after we battered them, and it looks like they're on their way back up a little bit now. And it's so tight, it will change probably 30-40 times between now and the end of the season, won't it? Because sides are going to go on little runs, sides are going to lose out. It's going to be a very interesting last couple of months of the season.
Great job, Seb.
You're welcome.
So here it is. Let me get rid of them. They're all up now. So yeah,
so 47 points. So they're 5 points behind it, but they have that crucial 3 games in hand, don't they? These games in hand, when are they going to start getting played? It feels like
I don't
clubs
know.
have had games in hand forever. Although I noticed on the commentary that they said Lincoln in 2 weeks' time is our last midweek game of the season. So I'm guessing following that, that's what they said. It's surprising because this time last year, I think we had one every single midweek for about 3 months. But they said, Lincoln is the last league. Certainly, it might be a playoff game, but it's the last league midweek game of the season. So I guess from that point, we might start to see some of these game in hands finally get taken up.
Indeed. Thanks for the heads up there, Chris. I didn't even realise that Portsmouth had won. Sticking with the questions, I'm getting so frustrated the way teams waste time at this level. Their number 4 team is embarrassing. We need to get out of this awful division. Yeah, that's the point, isn't it? Yeah, teams will come to Portman Road and time waste, and yeah, we can't really complain. We just need to get out of this awful division. Andrew Pearson, just going back to the next season, if the playoffs become unreachable, which players would you like to get more of a chance playing in the first team? Hopefully this won't happen, but
yeah, hopefully it won't, obviously. But I guess if it does, and I'd like to see El Mazzuni get a bit of a run. I've always liked El Mazzuni when he's come into the side. I think he adds a bit of physicality to his game, which wasn't necessarily there. I think his technique is decent, so I'd very much like to see him in one of the central midfield positions. And I guess the big one would be Tyree Simpson, wouldn't it? You know, if he's in the building, if he's in the squad, and they resolve the contract issue, then if there's nothing to lose, you may as well play him for the last few games and see exactly what it is he can do.
David Hughes, Wolfenden is looking like a special player. Yeah. I think Joe Fairs is lauding him as the best defender at the club at the moment. Would you disagree with that?
No, I'd agree with Joe. You know, as Joe said, it was mental to think that Paul Cook was bidding him off and only kept him around because of an admin thing. You've got to have an academy player in the squad, haven't you? So that's why he was kept around in the summer, and then he was playing Nsiala ahead of him for the first half of the season. And Wolfenden, since he's come back in, just looks superb. The back 3 role really suits him. He's taken on a lot of responsibility in that central position of the 3, and he's just purring through games at the minute. You know, he's reading the play really well, defending strongly. He can play. We all know about his ball playing abilities, and yeah, he's looking really, really good. He's back to the form of a couple of years ago, isn't he? The one that we had him linked with.
He just looks confident. He's playing with an arrogance again, isn't he?
Yeah. He's happy in himself, obviously. Not sure about the haircut. I don't know if the bleach blonde sort of Eminem look. But yeah, absolutely superb. He's been brilliant since McKenna came in, and crazy to think that he wasn't getting much game time under the previous manager.
Crazy indeed. But yeah, that's the era that we were living in. Neil Johnson would be more worried about Bolton than Pompey.
Yeah, they won again tonight, didn't they? So they're on the way. Bolton are a strange side, aren't they? They started the season pretty well, obviously battered us. Then they went on a horrific run. Then they beat us at the Reebok or whatever it's called these days. And since then they've gone on a good run again. So yeah, very strange team, Bolton. But yeah, they're back in it. And like I said, this is how it's going to be. It's going to change so many times. There'll be sides one Saturday that are back in it, and you think, oh, they could go on a bit of a run here, and then results will happen across the week, and sides will drop out of it again, and it's just going to be tight until the end of the season, I think.
Indeed, and just going back to David Hughes saying that Wolfen is looking like a special player. They discussed during the game Donatien potentially being player of the season. Just wonder what your views are on that.
Yeah, I guess if you had I would have said Edmondson up until probably the last month or so. He's made a couple of ricks, but I was really impressed with Edmondson. Burns, I guess, has been consistent throughout, but Donatien's been really good, hasn't he? No matter what he's asked to do, he came in at right back when Vincent Young was having a tough time, and he sort of got a few assists and added an attacking element to his game. And then since he slotted into the back 3, he's been absolutely superb. So I'd have no issues if Donatien were to go out and win it. And I can't really think of many others, Burns aside, who really would sort of push him for it. You know, Bond would have won it hands down if he'd kept scoring. Walton's done really well, and I guess he'll be in there for a shout.
Maybe Morsey as the season goes on as well.
Yeah, if Morsey keeps the performances going like he is now, and if he can finally add some goals to his game, he might be in there. But for overall consistency, I think, you know, every week, you know, with that back 3 with Edmondson, Donatien and Wolfenden, you're looking at a minimum 7 out of 10 from them all, aren't you? And a couple of 8 out of 10s because they've all got it working really, really well at the moment.
Indeed, and just to discuss players that we don't have anymore. Can you imagine what K-Mac could have coached into Dazelle and Downs?
Yeah, that is frustrating, isn't it? When you think what he's done for some of the players here, to have a player of the the ability to pick a pass like Dazelle had with McKenna's coaching would have been phenomenal. And if they could have sold the project to Downs, we were getting championship players to drop down. So would it have been that difficult to keep him? I'm not too sure, but he'd have been superb. When you imagine him alongside Moores, it'd be absolutely brilliant.
Do you not see a little bit of Dazelle in Tom Carroll?
A little bit, but Carroll's 31, is he 32? Whereas Dazelle's 22, 23. So opposite ends of the career, so to speak. And I just like homegrown players. That I always naturally give them maybe a higher platitude than they perhaps are worth. But I always liked Dazelle. Whenever he made a pass, I always knew it was probably the best ball available to him. And I think some of the teams he played in, he was never surrounded by the quality of player that we've had this squad. And I would have liked to have seen what he could have done.
Another question from Neil Johnson. If Evans is unfit Saturday, does Backinson come in?
I would do that, or El Mazzuni alongside him. Yeah, I would do that. Hello.
Hi, guys.
How you doing?
Richard's here.
I thought I'd run up Woodbridge Road for you.
Are you out of breath?
Not really. I'm a bit pissed off, if I'm honest.
Frustrating evening?
Yeah, I suspect. I was listening to you up the hill. And you've been really good, Seb. You're after 10 o'clock, so you can say the word shithouser if you want, because that's exactly what it was.
Okay, I didn't know the rules.
You've been towing the line very well. But I don't know what it was like for you guys. Just a massively frustrating evening, wasn't it? And
I think it's always more frustrating when you're in the ground.
Yeah.
But yeah, the second half, incredibly frustrating. The first half, it was different because it always felt like it was coming.
Yeah.
But in the second half, it didn't feel like that.
I think Seb said it earlier. In terms of the first half, I struggle to remember a more dominant 0-0 performance that we've put in recent times. And we were camped in their half. They hardly had a touch of the ball in our half. The only time where there was a little bit of nervousness was when the ball went back to Walton and there was a little bit of crossed wires there. And we just need to take those chances. As you mentioned, that Burns chance was probably the pick of those ones. But second half, yeah, I think we was probably naive to assume that Cheltenham wouldn't come out and try and impose themselves a little bit more. They're a form team at the moment. They don't lose too many matches. But you have to, as you guys said, take the positives. It's a clean sheet. I thought the referee was excellent tonight, by the way, as well.
Yeah, there's been a few comments on the referee.
Yeah. As much as I bemoan this division, and I tweeted that as soon as I left, we need to figure out how to play these kind of teams. The referee was spot on. Seb said it. 6 minutes was well justified, as well as then adding on another 2 minutes after that. But it just didn't work tonight. And as I messaged to you guys as well, the subs didn't really change things either, which is a shame. And I just don't know. It wasn't a good night for Burns. It wasn't a great night for Chaplin. But we weren't terrible, were we?
And they were in good form. I guess we haven't mentioned that, have we? Cheltenham were in good form going into this, so they are a tough side to beat. Was it one loss in 9? Was it, or something crazy? And that was against Rotherham. They were in really decent run of form, so they are a decent side now at this level. They certainly won't get relegated. They're pretty comfortable in the lower sort of third of the table. And yeah, it's just a frustrating evening all round. But like I say, go to Morecambe, get a good performance and a good win there, and suddenly it's still a decent week, isn't it?
Yeah. What's the results go? I know Sunderland's still going, isn't it?
Yeah, some of the results they are losing. Yeah, it was at one point. It was really working out well. We've got Cambridge beat Plymouth 2-0. Oxford were drawing 0-0 against Crewe and then got a winner and won it 1-0. Sheffield Wednesday didn't play, and Sunderland have equalised in the 93rd minute. Ross Stewart's just equalised.
Neil Johnson's just put that in the comments. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah,
but it could be worse. And
it could be, yeah. If we'd have won, I think at one point we'd have been 2 points off the playoffs. But this is how it's going to be. It's going to be up and down.
And this from Charlie D's is a problem, isn't it? And
yeah,
I didn't think it was a great night for Carroll. Mikey, I know you like him, and I know you messaged us that I in an attacking sense, I totally get Carroll. But in the second half, you needed someone a little bit more. You need 2 Morseys, don't you? Particularly this kind of reincarnated version of Morsey under McKenna, who's very happy to run with the ball. You need someone who's got a little bit of fight and bite in the centre, and Carroll certainly doesn't have that, and he doesn't win the 50-50 balls, and that's the trouble for me. And
Evans,
when he misses
Evans is by no means perfect, but he's just better than what we have.
Yeah, exactly right. And you're totally
best
spot on, both
option.
of you, talking about Aluko as well. I'm a bit disappointed Aluko didn't get some minutes this evening as well. And it's a worry about Pigott, isn't it, guys?
It's just at the moment it's not working, is it? The poor guy can seem to do no right. That one we spoke about it as I guess you were pulling up the hill. The one where Selena's running onto it and you expect it to be, he's going to put it in the bottom corner and Pigott gets in the way and then loses the ball. It must be so frustrating for the poor guy because he's barely played, and when he does, things just aren't going his way at the moment, are they?
Summed up his season really that moment, didn't it?
Yeah, but then equally, I wouldn't be surprised if he were to start against Morecambe, to be honest. So I guess we'll have to see how it goes.
Well, that was David's question there, wasn't it, Mikey, about who comes in? Yeah. Idris, says Chris.
Yeah, like I said, I like the fact.
I mean, where's he gone though? He's not been on the bench, Seb.
No, he hasn't. But we've got Backinson now, so I guess you're only going to have one central. With the attacking options, you're only going to have one central midfielder on the bench, aren't you? So I guess at the moment, Backinson's ahead of him in the queue. But yeah, when the question was asked earlier, who would you like to see in the last couple of weeks if the playoffs are out of reach? I'd like to see Almazuni get a real run to see what he can do because I really like him.
I agree with that.
Can we just talk about the left wing back situation?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we saw KVY tonight. David Hughes doesn't rate Thompson, but Kirk was at the game, thinks he had a good first half, linked up well with Selena, but slipped early second half and seemed to lose confidence and fade. Where do you stand on Thompson? He hasn't really pulled up any trees, has he? But
I think he's getting better.
enough.
I mean, I wasn't impressed on his debut at Sheffield Wednesday. I think me and Rich watched it and we were discussing we might give him the Zeke Friars Award for the worst left-back debut performance in an Ipswich Town shirt. So I wasn't impressed in the first game, but I guess he hasn't played that recently. And I thought he was okay tonight. I think he's got better sort of each game, and I thought he was okay tonight. And I thought it was a bit of a surprising change, to be honest.
I thought he took a knock, didn't he? I thought he took a knock. Because there was a
slow getting up, or did he
took a throw in,
didn't he? Yeah.
I thought he maybe took one, and that's why he was changed. Because otherwise, it's similar. I remember was debating about subbing Bailey Clements versus Rotherham. It seems a real waste of a sub to bring on a wing back for a wing back. I mean, Penny's presumably around still and is available, but if Thompson is injured, I've got no issues with KVY really. But I'd expect Thompson to start, and I agree with Seb. I think his form has got better and better. He's certainly not going to whip a cross in. He seems to be okay up to the kind of 18-yard box, but doesn't it to get rid of the ball, which is a bit of a frustration.
Yeah,
unlike Danassian on the other side.
He's got it in him. He needs to be a bit braver, doesn't he?
I agree. Yeah, great shout.
And before we go, gents, just a quick change of pace, and the viewers and listeners, the viewers can get involved at least. Masters football is returning. No, it's a lot of people have been talking about it on Twitter. I think Andy Warren or Stuart Watson did an article on it. Who would, if you had, I'll ask the viewers to put forward one player that they'd build their modern day Ipswich Masters team around, and I'll put the same question to you too.
You've got to have a box to box kind of midfielder, I think, as the heartbeat of the team, don't you? With Matt Holland kept being suggested, and then he suggested that his legs aren't up for it because he's quite a physical. He said it's a young man's game, kind of wink, wink, kind of nudge, nudge. But I think you need to be a recently retired. I see Andrews put in the chat, Midgilton, but I think probably we need someone a bit younger than that. I was thinking someone like Alan Quinn. Dare I mention Alan Quinn? But do you know what I mean?
Representing Ipswich.
David Norris. I think you need kind of a ferret, kind of ferreting around in midfield, doing all the legwork. Yeah, I mean, Dyer's going to have lots of time on the.
For me, it's all about the goals. I'd have David Johnson back in an Ipswich Town shirt and just.
He'll be representing Forest, you know that. Goose is a great shout.
Yeah.
In this kind of what to Santos. Yeah. Have you seen? I mean, there was a great compilation. I think Joe Sport put it on. Of there's a Neil Thompson Thunder Bastard from Legends from Masters Football
with his right foot, wasn't it?
Was it?
Yeah, I think it was.
Neil Thompson. Yeah, that was probably 15, 20 years ago, wasn't it? But yeah, someone who can ping one. Dos Santos is in that category, isn't it? Who'd ping a Grant Ledbetter? I'm just picking mediocre mid sort of tens midfielders for us now.
Here we go. We've got a good one.
Oh, there you go. That's a great shout.
Great shout. Yeah,
Legwinski. I'd like that.
Yeah. Tommy Miller.
Yeah,
Tommy Miller. Yeah.
There's a great shout too.
Yeah, you need players that can just make the ball do the work in as well, because you're going to be playing against people with different fitness levels. Is a blast from the past. Jimmy Wan.
We posted
Jimmy
Wan. Two people
that's
said
a
the same
great
thing at
shout.
the same
Ivan
time.
Campo. Yeah, that's a
Elliot.
great shout.
Yeah, the cigar. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I imagine he'd be a fantastic small-sided footballer. So incidentally, I've heard that Jari Litmanen was the greatest five-a-side player ever to play for Liverpool.
Sounds about right.
Just unbelievable in training, even when he was in his late 30s.
Is he a fellow countryman of yours?
Oh yeah, there's probably a reason I brought up Jari Litmanen. Yeah.
I mean, he's class anyway. Doug, there you go. I bet
Douglas.
you Douglas is decent at five-a-side.
Yeah, it's probably true.
I guarantee you, the players that we probably slated at Portman Road for not being who we wanted them to be, I bet you put them in this situation, it's a totally different story.
Maybe we could have Scuggless one last time.
Oh yes, bring it back.
Excellent. All right. So yeah, thank you very much for joining us, everyone. Cheers for joining us there, Rich. Fresh from the game. Who was your man of the match?
Oh wow, the referee, I think.
The referee.
Yeah, I think Wolfenden, I think was decent. Morsey was decent. I wouldn't pick any of the front three. They showed flashes, but not enough. So yeah, Wolfenden or Morsey for me. How about you guys?
I think Morsey. I think he played well. He was getting forward in the first half. Had that chance in the first half where he probably should have scored, and he sort of went down. But for me, yeah, Morsey.
Just seeing Elliot mention Tony Dinning. I think we're maybe scraping the barrel a little bit now. And I love how you left Douglas on there as long as you could, Mikey, as well. Paul's suggestion Douglas stayed on there for about 2 minutes. Have you guys? We've talked about the shows. You did do a good plug, by the way. So sorry for coming in. This is a wink, wink, nudge, nudge to the ITFC women's special that you talked about. There is a lot of stuff happening that is out of my hands being negotiated by people behind the scenes at ITFC Women. I'm really excited with what's happening there. So that could be a really good one to look out for on Thursday morning. I might do a little teaser kind of clip like we do to kind of talk about the situation there, but we are speaking to at least one player. I'll say that. I think we mentioned one of them on the flagship, but there is plenty going on there. So excited about that one. So and as Seb mentioned as well, do get your tickets in advance if you're thinking about that one. Definitely worth getting onto ITFC's ticket website, which is the tickets are available through that. So just thought I'd use that this time as an excuse, Mikey, to plug that. The tickets are like $5 or something like that. If you're a true blue, you can get them in as well. For I think the club will send them to you and stuff like that. So do get your tickets in advance. They're hoping to get a four-digit gate. So do get behind them at the kind of 12th man advantage. We've spoken to players like Lucy O'Brien, who said it makes all the difference. So fingers crossed for Sunday for them. But look out for that show on Thursday morning, and then Seb and Ben on Friday for Morecambe.
Excellent.
With the final sliding doors of all time, I assume.
Have I lost?
Yeah, well, you've got a day to go. I'm assuming you'll start doing some desperate retweets or
please vote for me
to vote for yourself. But you are not winning as it stands at the moment.
Just so everyone knows, I take these votes personally, and every time I lose, a bit of my soul dies. So if you have sympathy for me, please vote. I mean, or vote for Gav just so Seb doesn't win. Do you know what I mean? Just
seems like a good place to finish. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining in, making the show what it is. Cheers, Seb, and cheers, Rich, for joining. Any last words from either of you?
I'll leave it to you, Rich. Go on, you can do the sign off.
Well, I'll throw this comment. There you go, Chris Horn. Group therapy. I think that's unfortunately, but there are still matches to be played. There's still matches to be played. Let's keep our heads up.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, everyone, for joining, and see you next time.